Tech in 5.
Dive into Python with a fun game. Learn in just 5 minutes.
In our last video, we explored Python lists and their methods. Today, we're going to dive into the various options to iterate over these lists. We're going to create a simple yet exciting number guessing game in Python. This game is a great way to see Python lists and loops in action. Let's dive into how it works. First, our game needs a bunch of random numbers, right? So we start by generating a list of random numbers. Here's the function generate_numbers, which does exactly that. It creates a list with 10 numbers, each randomly picked between 1 and 50. We call this function to fill our number_list with random numbers. Now our game has the numbers it needs to play. Next, we ask you, the player, to guess a number. We use the input function for this. The player can type in any number between 1 and 50. After the player give it their best guess, here's where it gets interesting. We've got this block of code marked as magic happens here. This is where we'll check if their guess is in our list of numbers. We're going to iterate over the list and look for the number. How do we iterate through the list, you ask? Well, that's what we are going to learn today. After our search, we reveal to the player whether their guess was a hit or a miss. If the number is tucked away in our list, that's a win. Congratulations. If not, no worries. It's all part of the fun and games. Now, with the excitement of the guessing game behind us, let's delve into the truly fascinating part of this adventure. This is where the real magic of programming begins to unfold. In our list, we have 10 numbers. To access the number in specific position, we can just use the index starting from 0, and then use while loop to iterate. We start by setting index to 0. This will be our counter to go through each position in the list. The condition for the loop is index smaller than the length of number list. This means the loop will continue as long as index is less than the length of number list. It ensures we don't go beyond the list's range. Inside the loop, we access the current item of the list by retrieving the element at the current index. We then check if this item is equal to the player's guess. If guess equals item, it means the player has guessed correctly. When the player's guess matches an item in the list, we set found to true. The break statement then exits the loop immediately, because there's no need to continue checking the rest of the list. Alternatively, we can achieve the exact same result using a for loop. Unlike the while loop where we manually manage the index and check the condition, in this for loop, index automatically takes on each value from 0 to the length of number list minus 1. This means we no longer need to initialize the index variable ourselves, or explicitly increment it inside the loop. The for loop ensures that index stays within the bounds of the number list's indices. This is the classic for loop that you can find in other languages. But it's not commonly used in Python, because Python has a simpler way to do it. In this loop, for item in number list means we go through each number in number list one by one. Each number gets assigned to the variable item temporarily as we loop through. This pattern, where we loop through elements and use conditions to check each one, is a cornerstone of Python programming. It's simple yet extremely effective. But what happens when we need to work with both the item and its position within the list? This is where Python's enumerate function comes into play. It's a neat way to loop through a list while keeping track of each item's index. In our game, not only do we check if the guessed number is in the list, but we also use enumerate to tell the player the exact position of their correct guess. Besides the traditional loops, Python offers a powerful feature known as list comprehensions. These are used to create new lists by applying an expression to each element of the original list. Think of it as a compact, one-line for loop that directly generates a new list based on some criteria or transformation applied to each item. List comprehensions are an elegant and Pythonic way to handle list transformations efficiently. There are other equally powerful tools in Python for these purposes. One such tool is the map function. The other is filter function. Both map and filter offer alternative, functional programming approaches to manipulating lists. Finally, the simplest yet powerful method for our game is using Python's in operator to check if a number is in the list. Got questions? Feel free to leave a comment.
Stay tuned for more videos on Tech in 5.